iPads on your head to the Nikes on your feet, most people are connected with technology. Almost all students have a better knowledge of technology just from being around it all the time. But why haven't teachers and administrators been able to pick up on this beneficial tidbit and implement it in their classrooms? Books are literally the stone tablets that once were used by the cavemen. The iPad or MacBook Air have taken over with the abundance of ebooks, websites with all the information, and much more than what textbooks have to offer. Young people who pick up on this technology and are always tweeting or Facebooking are known as digital natives. We, because my generation is included, are native to technology language we have grown up and become accustomed to. Prinsky labels people who are learning and picking up, or who even might be resistant to technology, as digital immigrants. If digital immigrant educators really want to reach out to digital natives, i.e. all of their students, they will have to change. Prinsky, 2001, page 6. If this is the case, educators will have to change their stories, routines, and the way they assess in their classroom. Never, some say. Others can't wait. Which brought me to thinking. Many students in high school special education classes in my area aren't using technology that was based for student achievement. It was then that I decided to base my action research project on incorporating technology into this old school system of Wilson reading. The focused students are in my differentiated instructional reading classes using Wilson Reading System. Wilson Reading System is a systematic approach that uses tactile and sensory engagement within direct instruction. Students who are actively engaged in Wilson improve their reading skills, but sometimes it takes longer because they're not hearing the way that they read when they read text aloud. These students could potentially use technology, such as a recording device, to hear back what they have just read. Student learning is focused on achievement of fluent reading at a quicker pace, eventually without tapping sounds, in turn helping students catch up to same-age peers. Throughout my literature review, I explored the following areas pertaining to education, and more specifically special education. Teachers and administration of schools face was having the digital immigrants learn the new ways to teach digital natives. Prinsky asked the question, who's going to teach it? He also addresses the question, should digital native students learn the old ways, or should digital immigrant educators learn the new? Unfortunately, no matter how much the immigrants may wish it, it is highly unlikely digital natives will go backwards. Students with learning disabilities have experienced repeated failures of trying to keep up with same-age peers. Clark, 2007, states the value of audiobooks for a multitude of reasons as well, one of which includes readers understanding the message of the literature or content of the book they listen or read. Audiobooks can connect the reader to engage in the content of the book for training purposes, even if the person doesn't know how to read. The articles also state audiobooks can also be considered a bridge to reading, a way for young readers to enjoy literature at their listening comprehension level, which is significantly above their reading level. In a study done by Roswell, 2009, the researchers view digital literacy through a multimodal design lens and focus on work by the New London Group, 1996. The study reveals a student with a disability is able to navigate, understand the complexity of a story online because of his interest level and how the website is designed. Although the student with a disability demonstrates a problem in the school setting, he has no problem with his online interest because of the design of the visuals, sounds, and navigation of the website, which are set up to be just as important as the narrative text. According to the North American Council for Online Learning and the Partnership for 21st Century Skills, 2006, 84% of employers say K-12 schools are not doing a good job of preparing students for the workplace. They also noted a plan for virtual school leaders and advocates to get where they want and need to be within their ever-changing education system. The computer industry practically invented the term hands-on. Holt went on by stating benefits of interactive instruction. Holt pointed out top trainers are a must-have to have engaging and productive interactive instruction. A long time ago, when I was an elementary student, I was in remedial reading services. Mrs. Capini was my teacher, and I still remember her whole side drawer of her desk filled with reader glasses of all sorts of patterns and designs. She was always very spirited and loud, literally. Mrs. Capini made me read into the tape recorder so I could hear myself read and reflect on my intonation fluency and decoding skills. Although that's not how I viewed it back then. Like most students, when they hear themselves or see themselves on playback, they criticize themselves by stating whether or not they thought that what they did was good or bad. I remember feeling more and more confident in my reading as I progressed with her for a few years. Getting technology integrated in Wilson was going to be a little bit tricky. I decided that twice a week data would be collected for one student to read controlled text that has been taught to them in the Wilson reading lesson. The students would still read their controlled text while I chart, marking miscues like in a normal session. The only difference was it was not only marked on the student's chart, but also completed with video recording so the students can watch themselves reading to see how they sound. Each data collection was based on 15 controlled text words, which are correlated with the student's subsection and related sessions that have been previously taught. Students had to read 14 out of 15 words, or 15 out of 15, to move on to the next sub-step in Wilson. After each direct instructional lesson in Wilson, students engage in activities to aid in the memorization of Wilson rules, decoding of unfamiliar words and texts. Students spend time working in their workbooks, charting and recording, magnetic journaling instead of writing, dictation sessions, and games. The session focused on for the AR project is charting and recording.
Okay.
As a teacher, I prefer to be able to give immediate feedback to students after they read controlled text for charting. I also take data during this time on a chart showing progress and words that students missed.
Talk louder,
If the word
right?
was read incorrectly, I record that on the chart with the word which was supposed to be read and the way that the student read the word. This gives me information on what areas of the decoding process the student is struggling with. I can easily identify whether the student needs to work on their vowel sounds, work on identifying the ending sound, or if the student is adding or missing sounds from the word. Recording was completed using iMovie app on the MacBook for Cycle 1 and iPhone video camera in Cycle 2. Students would be given words corresponding to the step they are currently receiving instruction for in Wilson. The student will read for the camera and watch the playback immediately following reading the 15 controlled text words. If 3 or more words are missed while reading without the student self-correcting, the student must go through more practice in reading and then retry for at least 14 to 15 words to move on to the next step in Wilson.